Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. I am Robert Press, your host. On this hot and sticky day, I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News, Parkchester Times, which, along with this show, is part of Muslim media. Looking at the weather, the rain that was forecast for today will be arriving tomorrow, as the temperature again will be 90 degrees during this heat wave. As we go to Sunday, though, the temperature will be in the low 80s, and next week the temperature will be hovering around 80 or below. But however, rain is forecast for various days during next week, and we will have to see which days the rain will come and will not come. Meanwhile, New York State had the Department of Environmental Conservation and the State Department of Health have issued an air quality health advisory for Long Island and New York City metro regions again for today and probably for tomorrow also. The pollutant of concern is ozone. The advisory is in effect from 11 a.m. through 11 p.m., which is right now. The Department of Health and Department of Environmental Conservation issue an air quality health alert when the levels of pollution, either ozone or fine particle matters, which are PM 2.5, are expected to exceed an air quality index value of 100. The air quality index was created as an easy way to colorate levels of different pollutants to one scale, with a higher AQI value indicating greater health concern. New Yorkers are urged to use the following energy-saving pollution steps. Use mass transit or carpool instead of driving alone, as auto emissions account for about 60% of pollution in our cities, they say. Conserve fuel and reduce exhaust emissions by combining necessary motor vehicle trips. Turn off lights and electrical appliances in unoccupied rooms. Use fans to circulate air. Air conditioning is necessary. Set thermostats at 78 degrees. Close the blinds and shade to limit the heat buildup and preserve cooled air. Limit use of household appliances. Run them later in the evening if possible. That would include dishwashers, dryers, pool pumps, and water heaters. Purchase energy efficient lighting and use the Energy Star label. Reduce the elimination of burning and attempt to minimize indoor sources of PM 2.5, such as smoking. And this will, like I said, this will probably be in effect for tomorrow also. Before I continue, my former co-host will be 63 on July 30th. I want to wish him, Anthony Ravecchio, a happy birthday before he sees the good Lord upstairs, as he says. And now let's go into national news as we see Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the longtime Republican leader, who suffered a head injury a few months ago, froze mid-sentence on Wednesday at the U.S. Capitol during his weekly news conference, and was escorted to his office where he rested for a few minutes, then returned to his weekly news conference. Speculation is that maybe a new Senate minority speaker might appear. On to one of our popular subjects, Donald Trump. Prosecutors in his federal case are now accusing the former president and a newly indicted aide of trying to keep security camera footage from being reviewed by investigators, and this is bringing the number of total federal charges against Donald Trump to 40. But his woes don't stop there, as it seems that a Georgia grand jury is recommending perjury charges against one or more witnesses who testified before them in the year-long 2020 investigation of Donald Trump and his allies to disrupt the lawful administration of the 2020 presidential election in the state of Georgia. The judge has ordered most of the report to be withheld for now, protecting the due process rights of those who might be named in the indictment worthy. The report does not identify those people who may have lied to the grand jury. As Judge Robert McBurney said, the grand jury, in hearing from many of the people who worked or assisted in the election process, found Donald Trump's coercion of Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, found only one more vote for Trump in his many losses, was an attempt to overturn the results of a lawful, legitimate election. As for the Republican presidential primary, which will happen at the end of August, as of Wednesday, 7 contenders have met the qualifications for the debate. It'll be held, like I said, August 23rd in Milwaukee by Fox News and the Young Americans Foundation and Rumble. Candidates must have 40,000 donors with 200 unique donors in 20 different states, and by hitting a polling threshold that sees them clear of 1% in a handful of polls. Those who qualified already are former President Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, American entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, Tim Scott, the current U.S. Senator from South Carolina, Chris Christie, our friend from New Jersey, the former governor, and Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota. 2 others who have not yet met the thresholds but are probably going to meet them and will be in the debate are former Vice President under Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and former Governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, who both could make the debate. Like I said, there are several other long shots, which I will not go into. Now it appears the Justice Department is going after the state of Texas for illegally placing floating buoys across the Rio Grande River to stop illegal immigrants from coming across from Mexico. The Justice Department filed a civil complaint against the state of Texas because the state has built a floating barrier consisting of buoys strung together in the Rio Grande River without federal authorization that is legally required under the Rivers and Harbors Act. The complaint seeks to enjoin the building of the barrier as to require the state to remove it. We allege that Texas has flouted the federal law by installing a barrier in the Rio Grande without obtaining the required federal authorization, said Attorney General Vinika Gupta. The floating barrier poses threats to navigation and public safety and prevents humanitarian concerns. Additionally, the presence of the floating barrier has prompted diplomatic protests by Mexico, risk danger to U.S. foreign policy. The Rivers and Harbor Act is clear in prohibiting the placement of any unauthorized barriers or obstructions in the Rio Grande and other navigable waters in the United States, said Attorney General Todd Kim of the Justice Department, Environmental and Natural Resources Division. We intend to seek appropriate legal remedies, including the removal of such obstructions in the Rio Grande. The Justice Department also has announced that it has opened a civil patent practice into the city of Memphis and Memphis Police Department. The investigation will seek to determine whether there are systematic violations of constitutional or federal laws by the Memphis Police Department. The investigation will focus on the police department's use of force and its stop searches and arrests, as well as whether it engages in discriminatory practices or policies. The civil investigation is separate and independent from the technical assistance being provided by the Justice Department's Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services. While the investigation is ongoing, the office will continue to provide technical assistance to the police department through the Collaborative Reform Initiative Technical Assistance Center, related to the Memphis Police Department's use of force and de-escalation practices, as well as its use of specialized units. In addition to in the wake of Tyree Nichols' death, the Associate Attorney General asked the COPS office to develop a guide for police chiefs and mayors across the country to help them assess the appropriateness of the use of specialized units, like the former Scorpion unit in Memphis, as well as how to ensure necessary management, oversight, and accountability of such units. The civil investigation also is separate from and independent from the federal criminal rights investigation of Memphis Police Department related to the death of Tyree Nichols. The tragic death of Tyree Nichols created enormous pain in the Memphis community across the country, said Attorney General Merrick Garland. The Justice Department is launching this investigation to examine serious allegations that the city of Memphis and the Memphis Police Department engaged in a pattern of practice of unconstitutional conduct and discriminatory policing based on race, including a dangerously aggressive approach to traffic enforcement. We committed to working cooperatively with local officials, police, and community members to conduct the thorough and comprehensive review of the residents for the residents of Memphis, so that discrimination and their Fourth Amendment violation rights are not impinged upon. The investigation is being conducted pursuant to the Violent Crime Control Law Enforcement Act of 1994, which prohibits state and local governments from engaging in a pattern of conduct by law enforcement officers that deprives people of their constitutional rights or federal law. If the Justice Department has reasonable cause to believe that a state or local government has engaged in a prohibited pattern or package, the department is authorized to bring a lawsuit seeking court-ordered changes to remedy the violations. In this investigation, the department will assess local law enforcement practice under the 4th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution, as well as under the Safe Streets Act of 1968 and Title IV of the Civil Rights Act. Yesterday's announcement marks the 9th pattern or practice investigation into law enforcement misconduct opened by the Justice Department during this administration of Joe Biden. The department has ongoing investigation to the Phoenix Police Department, Mount Vernon, New York Police Department, Louisiana State Police, New York City Police Department, Special Victims Unit Division, the Worcester, Massachusetts Police Department, and Oklahoma City Police Department. The department recently completed investigations in Louisville and Minneapolis and secured agreements with principals with both jurisdictions to negotiate consent decrees to address the violations found. Now, as for a federal takeover of Rikers Island, problems continue in Rikers Island as 2 New York City Department of Correction officers and an assistant deputy warden have been suspended over the death of an inmate at Rikers Island over the weekend, sources said. The jail guards and supervisor failed to properly make the rounds at a housing unit where 44-year-old Curtis Davis was found dead Sunday, Department of Correction sources said. Davis was found unconscious at the George R. Vimo Center and could not be revived. His cause of death has not yet been determined. Davis had been held on $30,000 bond following his June 1st arrest in Brooklyn on an assault and weapons possession charges. He was the 7th in custody death at the beleaguered city jail system this year. In 2022, 19 people died behind bars at Rikers Island, making it one of the deadliest years for the city lockups in recent history. Rikers has been under threat of federal takeover, with Manhattan U.S. Attorney Damian Williams recently calling for the extraordinary move due to the lack of substantial progress in reforming the jail system. City officials and the federal monitor overseeing the jails have also escalated their ongoing rhetoric over hellish conditions at the lockup. However, Mayor Eric Adams, has strongly argued against losing control of the jails, saying recently he has the best person to fix the situation. Every death should be taken seriously, and every death is a tragedy, Adams told reporters Monday about Davis's death, but he noted the inmate population in Rikers has been dysfunctional for decades and that correction officers are stretched thin. No matter what happens, I'm going to continue to fix Rikers, he said. I know I can fix Rikers, he added. As far as the migrant situation, it seems that city officials are now looking for private contractors to open migrant shelters. They're using the Health and Hospitals Corporation, which through mid-June, more than 12,000 asylum seekers were in shelters overseen by the Health and Hospitals Corporation. And according to a recent, that's provided by the Controller's Office. While this figure isn't regularly provided by the Mayor's Office, it accounted for roughly a quarter of the 48,000 migrants in city shelters at this time. Now, it appears that a 6-story building has popped up at 1952 Stillwell Avenue, which was once this proposed site of a homeless shelter. It is said that this building is not going to be a Department of Homeless Shelter building. It won't be a shelter, but word is that it will have 200 beds, and could this be part of a shadow system by the Health and Hospitals Corporation? And let me take a commercial break right now, and we'll be back with some more later after the break.
Undoubtedly, Africa is the best tourism destination on earth. The continent is blessed with the most conducive atmosphere. To feel and enjoy these blessings, join the most productive one-week tour of the continent organized by Daylight Africa every September 2nd to September 9th to see beyond the fallacies about Africa on the mainstream media. Contact us at daylightafrica@gmail.com or call 718-822-5555. Daylight Africa. Revolutionizing tourism industries in Africa.
Welcome back to Talking Politics. A little more discussion about what I just said. Mayor Adams released a statement that he met with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Adriano Mayorkas in Washington, D.C. yesterday. He also met with Senate Majority Leader Schumer, Minority Congressional Leader Jeffries, and other members of the state's congressional district. He says that New York City continues to see asylum seekers arrive every day on top of the more than 93,000 that have arrived since last spring. We continue to do more than any other city in the nation, but we need additional support from our federal and state partners as we look forward to working on them with them in the weeks coming. Mayor Adams is also calling his rat activity in Harlem a success. He's called for a first anti-rat day of action to take place in Harlem, the Harlem Rat Mitigation Zone. That's great and everything, and good, Mayor Adams. And this spring, the Department of Sanitation published approximately 100-page report, The Future of Trash, which the administration is already moving forward on these reports. And Sylvina N. Brooks Powers, the New York City Council Majority Whip, says rats are a scourge in every neighborhood in the city. And local Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez said the new measures taken by Mayor Adams and his administration are making a difference in our neighborhoods. As we continue to identify thoughtful solutions, I look forward to communities like mine benefiting from actions similar to those in the rat mitigation zones. The health and safety of my community are a priority, and I hope to work with the rat rodent mitigation team to keep our streets clean. Now, if you have a rat problem in Councilwoman Marjorie Velazquez's district, her office phone number is 718-931-1721. So if you call Councilwoman Velazquez's office at the number at 718-931-1721, make sure you have a picture of the rat if you can, or the location where the rat is. We're going to move on a little bit. I see my guest, Kevin Diola, is here, and there is a notice that was sent out to the public by Community Board 11 Chair Bernadette Ferrara, which was supposed to be an apology or some sort. Kevin, let me bring on Kevin if I can, so Kevin can talk about this a little more. Kevin, are you there? I can see you, Kevin. I can't hear you yet. Kevin, are you there? You're muted,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Okay. Hear me now, right?
Now I can. Okay, you're gonna have to talk loud, though, unfortunately. So,
do you hear me now?
Yes, I can, but you're gonna have to yell a little. Now I can. Move over a little so we can see you. Move over a little to your right so we can see you. Yes, I can, but you're gonna have to yell a little. Now I can. Okay. Well, let me read the letter. Let me read the letter from Bernadette Ferrara, the chair of Community Board 11. It's a letter to the public from Bronx Community Board 11 on September 29th. Just Home proposed public hearing. Dear members of the public, September 29th, 2022, at the Rotunda of Jacobi Medical Center, Bronx Community Board 11 held a public hearing on the Just Home proposal, making a second community meeting on the project. The first being held by the Morris Park Community Association at Maestro's Caterers on July 19th, 2020. After the July 19th, 2022 public hearing, it was clear that to many that a second meeting or public hearing would see the same sentiment. While disappointment is expressed over the events that escalated on September 29th, we are all in agreement that it was a regrettable evening where our First Amendment rights of speech were not respected and allowed to be heard. Hindsight is 20/20 vision, and there is a first time for everything. are two cliches that are fitting for the events that occurred on September 29th. The highly charged situation was a first-time experience for many of the Bronx Community Board 11 members. What was heard from more than one attendee was that there was nothing any board member present that night could have done to control the crowd short of shutting down the meeting. But shutting down the meeting could have been misinterpreted as the board disregarding the concerns of the community. This was a difficult decision to make in this moment. Community Board 11's members are volunteers serving our community who will make sure attendees and board members of future public meetings or public hearings know our code of conduct to abide by, and at the first sign of escalation of misconduct, after a one-time warning, the meeting will shut down. Moving forward, our code of conduct will be announced before the beginning of each public meeting or public hearing, making everyone aware that it will be enforced. Let us continue to move forward in solidarity and serve our protected community. Respectfully, Bernadette Ferrara, Chair of Community Board 11. Now, it should be noted that Bernadette Ferrara was not the chair of Community Board 11 on September 29th, 22. She was in the audience as a member of Community Board 11, and she was the Education Committee. I see, here's my guest back on. Kevin, you look much better and sound much better.
Thank you.
You want to join, and why don't you give us your comments on the letter, because you were one of the complaints.
Yeah, okay, so
We lost you, Kevin.
can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, now I can. Go ahead.
I might have a 7-second delay here, but I'm going to continue talking. Is that okay?
We lost you, Kevin.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, now I can. Go ahead.
Might be a 7-second delay. I'm just going to keep talking. So, Bernadette, the chair, wrote a letter of apology that I consider to be a statement. She also preluded that with a cover letter that should not have been a part of it, because even the first sentence of that cover letter, I got the wrong one. Says, by reading the letter, the first comment on the cover page attempted to disregard the letter and distance the author and the board members from it in advance. Says, by reading the letter, the cover page was unnecessary and only included, again, an attempt to disregard the apology letter and distance the author and the members from the cover page advance. And I feel that's very shameful. In the letter itself, it says sincere regret, but that's never mentioned in what she calls the apology letter. After reading the letter itself, she says, we are sorry, but it shows no empathy or apology mentioned in the apology letter. She also mentions, and this part is pretty tough for me, our First Amendment rights of freedom and speech were not respected. The board chair herself, who at the time was not the board chair, was present and mentioned as an accused in one of the complaints. How dare she now claim that her rights were restricted? Shame on her. Disappointed? The letter is a disappointment. Shame on her. There was nothing that any board member present that night could have done, she said. The two complaints that were sent in are based on that comment, where the ethics committee, the leadership committee, and the full board admitted to the problems associated with the lack of conduct control. And she also mentioned this was a difficult decision to make at the moment, but they didn't make a decision, and that's shameful. I'll just make one last line unless you have a question. No one blindly accused the entire community board of neglect of their duties that evening. Only 3 people were mentioned in the complaints, and by the way, they were not mentioned in this apology letter. No wonder many board members were against publishing it.
Thank you, Kevin. Let me read those two sentences that I forgot to read. It's to the public and board members of Community Board 11. Many of our board members were in favor of this letter. Others were not. Kevin, can you mute yourself, please? Or can we mute Kevin? Okay. Many of the board members board members were in favor of this letter. Others were not, and a small percentage felt they should not apologize for something they did not participate in or were not present for an understandable reason. Community Board 11 is made up of diverse members posing just as diverse opinions. No one should experience retaliation for expressing their opinions. Here is the letter of true, sincere regret from the chair of Community Board 11 regarding the evening of September 29th, 2022. And you've heard Mr. Kevin Diola's opinion of what the letter is. He was one of the main objectors to this letter. The other was I forgot her name already. She's from the Bronx Park East. What's Bronx Park, Kevin? What's the name of the contributor to this who complained? From Bronx Park East. I forgot her name. Who complained?
Miss Finch.
Oh yeah, Diana Finch. Sorry about that, Diana. Sorry, I forgot your name. Miss Finch. And I'm sure that there are other people. I'm sure there are other people who have opinions about the letter as it will go out. And I'm sure, like Kevin, those who have been, abused by the public that were at that committee are going to agree with Kevin or have their own opinions on that. Hopefully next week I might be able to have Miss Diana Finch for her opinion, or maybe it'll just be a different letter that comes out, which Kevin really wants to see. All right, I'm going to thank Kevin for appearing here right now, but I have something else that is really of concern to the community around in Community Board 11, because it appears that the Stop and Shop that was located on 1720 Eastchester Road in the Bronx, which is closed now, it closed earlier in July. It was supposed to be taken over by Montefiore Hospital, where Montefiore said they were going to build a children's hospital. However, the property is now up for sale by an agent. The price of the property is $17,500,000 United States dollars. The lot size is 139,285 square feet. The offering highlights 1720 Eastchester Road is currently an existing 63,000 square foot one-story building grocery store on a 139,285 square foot lot. Stop and Shop occupies the property through July 2023 at a rent of $33.50 per square foot. In addition, the property offers 250 parking spots on the roof and at grade level. Development opportunity. The property is zoned M1-1 with a commercial FAR of 1.0 and community facility FAR of 2.4. An investor has the ability to capitalize on the total square 334,284 buildings square foot in the heart of the Bronx Medical District. Flexibility for an alternate uses. Permitted uses include industrial offices, medical office, retail stores, other commercial and community facilities. The maximum permitted floor area of what I mentioned, the square footage could be contained within a community facility or mixed community facility and commercial building. It is a strategic location, extremely rare opportunity to acquire an underutilized, centrally located site in the Bronx, situated at the confluence of Eastchester Road and Waters Place / Herb Rosenblatt Place, offering visibility on two heavily trafficked streets surrounded by Montefiore, Einstein, Jacobi, and other medical institutions. It also goes on to say that it has superior accessibility on the 6th subway line of the New York City. LaGuardia Airport, JFK, Westchester County Airport can easily be reached by a 17, 25, and 34-minute rides, respectively. Now, the community expected Montefiore to take over the property, and this is now a big concern to the people who live around in the area, because if Montefiore is not going to take over the property and it's being zoned as a commercial / community facility property, are we going to have a homeless shelter there, or is it going to be turned into maybe a shelter for migrant families? who knows how many people they can fit on that space. So I'm going to end it right here now, as this just came up, and this came to me from a member of the Indian Village Alliance, which is growing in popularity, which is fighting the Just Home site at Jacoby Hospital, because Jacoby Hospital is not a place for people coming from Rikers Island who have not had their trials yet, who have been accused of crimes, or people who are being released from Rikers Island early because they have medical problems and feel that Jacoby Hospital might be the right place. It is a fair share issue because only 2 Bronx hospitals are going to house these people from Rikers Island, and it is not fair that the Bronx takes on the whole city's population of people that are in the Rikers Infirmary right now, and it is a fair share issue that should be dealt with. And I will ask Mayor Adams, I will speak to him just like I spoke to him about a shelter that was going up on White Plains Road, where he talked to DHS and said, no, that you're right, that it shouldn't be. And our borough president, Vanessa Gibson, came to a community-oriented meeting where I was co-chair with the housing chair of the Community Board 11, Hazel Mura, and said that Mayor Adams has decided that Department of Homeless Services will not put that homeless shelter on White Plains Road. I'm going to end right now and say thank you for watching. We'll have more about this property here on Eastchester Road that Montefiore was supposed to get in, take over, and put a children's hospital there and see what happens. And thank you for watching our show. Have a good day. Thank you.
Undoubtedly, Africa is the best tourism destination on Earth. The continent is blessed with the most conducive atmosphere. To feel and enjoy these blessings, join the most productive 1-week tour of the continent organized by Daylight Africa every September 2nd to September 9th to see beyond the fallacies about Africa on the mainstream media. Contact us at daylightafrica@gmail.com or call 718-822-5555. Daylight Africa. Revolutionizing tourism industries in Africa.